Hello, Original Soul. Welcome in to this reading. I hope you're doing well. Let's jump right into it, shall we? Okay. So we'll get some messages out here from your mind, body, spirit. We got blame right now at the bottom of the deck. I'm almost making a mess here, so I don't know if anybody has some sort of messy situation that they may need to clean up a little bit. Last week, I don't remember all the cards. I know love came out again for a second week in a row. I think growth. All right, so let's see what wants to come out this week. We'll get a message from your mind, your body, your spirit. Add some tarot to it. Okay, so cutting the deck with the Death card, learning that endings are merely beginnings. That card did come out, I think, 2 weeks ago. All right, so let's see what we've got today. All right, self-esteem on the mind, grief with the body, ooh, and guilt from spirit. Okay, so we'll get into these. A lot of this sort of orange, this sort of mustard color here. All right, and fear at the bottom of the deck. Oofta. All right. It's a lot of heavy feeling energy. Let's see what we got. So at the bottom of the deck, fear, I realize that I am testing my resolve to live in the energy of love. And underneath that is perseverance. Okay, so is there any sort of underlying fear going on? It looks a little bit chaotic with that fear energy. All right, so up at the mind, self-esteem, I possess gifts of the soul that benefit me and others. So if you check in with your self-esteem, how is that going lately? How are you feeling? That is all a mental energy and how you perceive yourself. So that might be something to focus on and work on here. With the body, grief, I understand that losing something is an opportunity to appreciate it. Right, so I don't know if there is something going on with your body where you do have a little bit of this grief energy that you might be experiencing or feeling. As we get older, things change. Maybe there's some sort of procedure or just some sort of challenge that you've been facing with the body that it does have you feeling a little bit sad, a little bit down, feeling a little bit lost in that way. And then from spirit, guilt, I release any beliefs that no longer assist in my soul's growth. All right. Let's see, we'll add some tarot to it, but I'm going to read out of this guilt card. I don't normally grab the book, but let's just get a little bit more with that before we jump into the tarot. If I knew the alphabet, this would go faster. Here we go. Okay, so this message from Spirit about guilt. Let's see what we've got here. The energy of fear, which is at the bottom of the deck. So we've got both of those going on here in this reading today. The energy of fear has many guises to complicate your path to loving yourself. Self-esteem. Guilt is the most devious because it is a wolf in sheep's clothing. It is a self-imposed emotion that pretends to be instructive and enlightening. Guilt can help us grow when we realize that our actions have been hurtful to others and that we need to make amends. After we do so, though, it's time to learn from the behavior and move on. The problem arises when we hold on to a guilty feeling that serves no purpose other than promoting self-destructiveness and low self-esteem. No one is perfect. Everyone makes mistakes. Guilt is not always rational, but if you examine subjectively, act on it, and release it, it becomes a temporary emotion. Long-held guilty feelings are never good and will create a roadblock to self-love and happiness. You must continually scan your current emotions for any guilty feelings and bring them to the surface for analysis. Healthy guilt is a warning that action should be taken. Irrational guilt needs to be released. Okay. So a little bit additional message on guilt there from Spirit, right? Tying in with this fear and self-esteem cards that also have presented themselves. So we'll get some tarot for this. I do think guilt also came up recently. Guilt and grief. Maybe even fears. So yeah, a lot of this similar energy. Maybe all of this is sort of bubbling to the surface and with your body. Right? Spirit is trying to get your attention as well. All right, let's add a couple cards here. See if there's been any experience of loss. Whether that has to do with something with your physical body or your physical environment. Maybe this is some sort of relationship or friendship. All right, let's focus on self-esteem to start with. All right, we'll get a card or two to go with it. This message from your mind about your self-esteem. On the floor. I'll get it. Can I see it? No. I don't know what it is. All right, we'll find out. Let's get one more to go with it. Whatever that is. All right. I possess gifts of the soul that benefit me and others. All right. So you do have something special. Everybody does. That can help others. That can help other people. Got both temperance and death showing up. So balance, change, transformation, endings and beginnings. All right, so with that, the Fool, you can see this dog is taking a leap, taking a jump. I love how he's looking towards us. All right, so is there something that you've been wanting to start or try? That maybe you have not taken that leap for? Right, know that you do have the support of your ancestors with you, and it might be time to go ahead and go for it. And remember, it's okay if not everything works out exactly as you think or even exactly as you hope. Sometimes it's just that effort of going for something and taking a chance that does actually boost your self-esteem. Even if you get a rejection, right? You still made that effort, you still took the chance. And sometimes things work out. A lot of times, right, when you put in that effort, your positive energy, right, things start to work out in your favor as well. But it's hard for that to happen if you're feeling a little bit stuck, if you're feeling negative about yourself, if you don't believe. You can have these fresh new beginnings, right? If you're letting fear be more of a controlling energy, something that keeps you sort of chained in your mind, unable to act, unable to move, maybe even unable to think positively. Three of Cups is what fell to the floor, what also came out. So this can be a really positive card, and maybe there will be something to celebrate once you finally get out of this fear mentality, let go of some of this grief and guilt, and get into a high vibration with your self-esteem. This also, this isn't always associated with gossip, but I'm just sort of getting this sort of gossipy, maybe a little catty energy, possibly even a little bit of partying or something like that. So I don't know if there is any sort of situations, maybe you've been out at some gatherings or anything like that. So just kind of being aware, or maybe you're assuming people are talking about you even if they're not. Right? Or even if they are, just getting in touch with your own self-esteem. And again, maybe taking that leap so you do have something worth celebrating. You do have something, right, that does boost your emotions. All right, let's move on to this grief card. And noticing how grief and self-esteem, once we get into a sad, sort of loss energy, Again, as I was saying, maybe that is over relationships. That has been coming out a lot lately as well. But this is with your body. So how your body may hold on to some of that grief as well. Even if this has nothing to do with feeling sad about, you know, your physical body or your physical environment. If it is, let's say, a relationship as an example, or let's say a job or something like that, right? That was really important to you that you no longer have, how that might impact your body, how grief impacts your choices. Yeah, the healing card coming out here with the star. See this 10 of Swords at the bottom of the deck, this wolf howling at the moon. I think that guilt card talked about wolf in sheep's clothing, but with this grief, how your emotions impact your body, right? So how sadness can create stagnation, how that can create changes in your energy levels, in your ability to feel motivated, right? It can take some of that just oomph or excitement out of life, or even the day-to-day can become harder and harder. So again, if it's not something going on with your body itself that has you feeling down or sad, or that you don't like, right, and need to boost your self-esteem about, this could be just really thinking if you have been in grief energy, or if you had something, you know, happen that has you just feeling a lot of loss. It's really time to tap into more of this healing energy. Your body wants you to move towards healing energy. So whatever that would look like or mean for you, healing can be different for everybody. We're all drawn to different types of activities, exercises, practices that might bring in healing. Right, for me, that's meditation. For me, that's going to yoga. Sometimes that could be having a conversation with somebody. An important piece could be just taking some time to yourself, especially if that's something that maybe you've tuned out or it's been washed out from this grief. Right, so just noticing how that is impacting your body. Your body wants you to be more aware of that and move more towards healing. Okay, we'll take two more. Yeah, and getting a little bit more clarity. So moving towards healing, which will start to clear you up a little bit. It'll clear out some of that stagnation that's maybe settled in your body, or built into some of your physicality a little bit. It's going to cut some of that away with this Ace of Swords. Right? This will allow you to also think a little more clearly and boost your self-esteem as well. And this is also going to get your creativity going. Grief is such a difficult emotion to work through, to process. Right? Sometimes that grief never fully goes away. But definitely checking in with what you appreciate or appreciated about whatever you're feeling sad about. If it is something that you can change, right, maybe it is time to say something or take some sort of action. This is some sort of new opportunity to either take the lead. Maybe it's to make some peace, to start something fresh. Noticing these little acorns here down at the bottom as well. Right, so something that's a little more grounded. And again, maybe earthing a little bit, getting outside. If it's warm enough where you are. Not for me yet where I am, but getting like your bare feet in the grass. Or maybe if you can get out by a few more trees, get some of that sun on your face. Just like the sunflower would like to do, right? Doing all of those things can start to bring in some healing in those ways. And once that starts to get through your body, that's where it can then trickle in and start to impact your mind in positive ways as well, impact your spirit. All right, so from spirit, letting go of guilt. Is there something you feel guilty about? I'm sure we all have things. Sometimes they're little things. Sometimes little things add up to big guilt. Maybe there's one major thing that's happened that you're just kind of reeling with some of that guilt over. Right? But as Spirit was mentioning and the book was telling us, right? There's that irrational level of guilt versus that helpful temporary guilt that is a sign and a signal that maybe you feel like you have done something you shouldn't have, right? But if you are holding on to that, or again, maybe not making amends or making the change, if it is something that you are able to do that with, right, then maybe you know you're continually doing something that you maybe feel like you shouldn't, or maybe you're continually not doing something that you feel like you should. You know, something about that going on here as well. All right, let's get a few more cards. But again, releasing that guilt. So one way to release the guilt is to make a correction, do a different action, do what you can to make amends with whatever that might be. And then after that, it is time to move forward, move on. All right. Yeah, Nine of Wands. Could be about burdens, boundaries, patterns, some kind of long-held cycle. All right, let's see what else. Yeah, Three of Swords. So again, this is something that has really hurt your mind, your heart. This is, I think, the only sword card, which is more about mental energy, that does depict more of an emotion. Right, and on this one, it looks very brutal. You can see the swords going through that egg with the heart drawn on it. This poor ostrich is just wailing in the front there. So again, this is something with this guilt, this grief. This is impacting possibly your self-esteem, how you're feeling about yourself, how you're treating other people. Right, so if you're staying in that swirling emotion, I'm kind of picking up on that spiral energy in the middle. And it is time to maybe take hold of that Ace of Swords. Listen to your body. Yeah, the Moon. This could be something that, again, could be a secret. Maybe this is something that you've been hanging on to that nobody knows about, or again, something that you know that you've been needing to express or share or change or admit, right? Which isn't easy. That is challenging to do, but you are sort of piercing your own heart with this grip on guilt, right? This maybe drowning in a little bit of this grief, maybe relying even a little bit on addiction, to get you through some of these feelings, as opposed to, right, working through healing, trying to be honest with yourself, honest with other people, right? So that's where you can open up a little bit more. So yeah, some kind of really hurtful, a little bit deeper energy. The Moon is also your deep, deep emotions. And the wolf in this card, I love, right, is in all white. She's howling at the moon. So this is really finally letting all of that come to the surface. Giving out of your crab shell. Yeah, Balance wanted to pop out. I know I had cut the deck earlier with this Temperance card. All right, so we'll take that with those. All right, let's get one more card here to go with it before we close it out. But yeah, bringing in balance. Again, this message from Spirit and your mind, well, all of them. We've actually got a major arcana in each one. So really major energy, maybe a time for a shift. We are now into spring in the Northern Hemisphere. We're in Aries season, right, which is the beginning of the zodiac. So it is a great energetic time. A lot of this fresh, new energy is already around and available to you. So it's time to get out of some of this and get into something a little bit brighter. Okay, let's just get one more card here. Yeah, so best advice moving forward, 9 of Pentacles. Right, this is about confidence. This is about realizing your resources and abundance that you already have. Right, allowing progress to be slow and letting that be okay. Just picking up on the snail in this card. But really just taking a little bit of a step back from maybe being so in some of those feelings, right? It's good to know and understand your feelings, but sometimes if you're sort of kind of lost in that sea of feelings, right, it can be really hard to kind of see above that. Right, so maybe tapping into a little bit more of that bird energy and getting out of the water, getting up into a higher perspective, and really just, again, tapping in with your own confidence, boosting your own self-esteem. Being honest with yourself to admit what things can you change, what can you do, how would you like to be going forward. And getting out of this cycle of fear with the Wheel of Fortune at the bottom of the deck, the cycle of sort of arguing, combativeness, maybe this push and pull, going back and forth, whether that's an internal thing that you've been struggling with or with others in your world. But really transforming out of that fear, knowing that you're protected. Okay. All right, so this is the message from mind, body, spirit. Right? If you can work on your self-esteem this week, tell yourself some nice things. Work on some healing practices. Even if that just starts with going for a short walk to get out of maybe a swarm of emotions or a negative mindset. Just do some of those small things. Have an extra glass of water. Just little things that can start to help bring in a little cleansing and clearing and healing into your body. And then releasing this pain, this hurt, especially if it's something you continue to do to yourself. Again, from an action and inaction, whether it's a secret or just holding back some of your really deep feelings and not letting those be heard, maybe not taking the action to go after those. Right, so being more confident this week, maybe taking some actions where you can start to feel proud of yourself. Right, notice how that can bring in some of this healing energy and release some of that heartache as well. Okay. All right, so that is the message from your mind, body, spirit for this week. Really powerful energy, a lot of availability here for transformation and to boost yourself and shift yourself into a more positive new chapter. All right, that's what we've got for you. Thanks so much for being here. I really appreciate you. Thanks so much for being here, coming back. And until next time, peace.